Here we are at the halfway point, and today we're going to be with Get MotiVEted's Dr. Quincy Hawley and Renee Machel talking about wholeness, because veterinary medicine was meant to be enjoyed, not endured, and that's exactly what they're going to work with you to actualize.
All right, excellent. I guess I'll start out. I'm Dr. Quincy Hawley, and I'm so excited to have an opportunity to be with you guys here midday. And Renee's actually going to start us out.
Yeah.
And I'll finish this off. All right.
Very good. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your workday or your personal day to be here with us at 12 o'clock in the middle of the day. And a little bit about myself and Get MotiVEted. I have been in the industry for nearly 20 years, you guys, as a veterinary technician, as a team leader. And I'm also a certified yoga instructor, as well as your mindfulness and meditation guide. We both, Dr. Quincy and I, are certified life coaches. We are speakers. I am a biological mom, a bonus mom, and fur mom. I am the girlfriend to my guy and an entrepreneur. And most importantly, I'm a well-being student and master. And what I mean to say by that is that learning journey for me is never ending. But early on in my career, I really struggled with my mental health and my physical health. So in my early 20s, I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, insomnia, chronic back pain, GI illness, and a plethora of other secondary ailments, all of which really were stemming from stress. And so in my experience, those things, it might sometimes seem like work's going to be better, but then it just doesn't end up happening that way, right? You guys have all kind of experienced that where work just, you go in with a chipper attitude and then you just get your butt kicked, right? But work for us doesn't have to be the only thing that consumes us. And so that's what Dr. Hawley and I want to talk to you guys about today. We want to talk about life, as a whole, right? So this is the life wheel, you guys. The life wheel tells us that our life isn't just about work. Even though it seems like our work families, we spend more time with them than anyone else. And even though we're so invested in our profession, because for us, it's not just about a job, it's about our passions. But that's why Get MotiVEted exists, is because we want to bring our passion, well-being, to veterinary medicine for the caregivers, because we can only touch so many pets in a day. But if we're able to help all of the caregivers, then all of the pets get happy caregivers. And then, of course, the caregivers, you guys are having the quality of life discussions with your patients, but what about yourself? And so when we look at our life wheel, we have multiple areas. Some, if you guys take a screenshot of this or Google life wheel, you might find different categories, but they're usually about the same. There's about 8 to 12 categories. And this is one of my favorite ones, but it's personal growth, career and business, love and relationships, health and vitality, mind and meaning, productivity and performance, wealth and lifestyle, leadership and impact. So let me ask you guys a question. If 10 is the outside, and that's kind of what we're going for in order to have a really holistic life wheel to where we feel fulfilled in each area of our lives, where would you rate yourself in each of these different areas? So that's the exercise when it comes to working with a life wheel. If we're not balanced, this is kind of what it's like when you're driving around on an unbalanced life wheel, is a square tire or a flat tire, to where you're completely invested in your career, but your social life is suffering. Or maybe you've thrown yourself into a new relationship, and so your personal growth is not advancing in the same way that you would like it to. Perhaps in your relationships, your relationships are changing. So it's all about balance. We can sometimes even get burnt out from doing the right things too much, right? And so that's something we want to keep in mind. It's all about balance, and each of these categories can go a little bit deeper, right? So it's not just to say relationships is interpersonal relationships, but there's different types of relationships. I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm, a friend, I'm a business partner. And so you want to look at your different types of relationships and start to ask yourself, in what areas do I want to improve this relationship, so that you can direct your emotional and your energies toward those things. Your business and career, your health and vitality. When we think of health and vitality, often most people think of fitness. Where do I stand on the scale, right? That's kind of what we've been just bred to think. But what I want to propose to you guys is, what about your sleep? What about your energy? What sort of state are you in and day out? And so those are the things that you can look to improve. Your mind and your meaning. This is big for me, you guys. What I mean by being a well-being student and a well-being master, I'm in my 30s now, mid-30s. I was able to leave all of those diagnoses behind. So I no longer struggle and suffer from anxiety and depression. I no longer require medical intervention. The work that we share with you guys, these things really can transform your life. And it's something that is ongoing, because when you put me next to someone else who's never had an issue with a diagnosis such as that, you could take my fiance, for example. He's never had a diagnosis as that. And so anxiety doesn't seem to knock at his door the same way that it does mine. And so I'm very active in the efforts that it takes to keep my life balanced, so as to not fall victim to those types of things before, or again, rather. I want to share this slide with you guys. You guys have seen things like this, right? Lottery balls. Something that when you're looking at your life wheel and you say, Renee, well, I'll be happy when my student debt is paid off. I'll be happy when I get that promotion. Sometimes it's driven by money. I'll be happy when I get into that relationship, or when I buy that house, whatever the case is. What I want to share with you guys is, sometimes, even on paper, you can have what looks to be the right setup for your life and deeply feel unfulfilled. And so whether you're a young college student, going to a state university with a good career and a good job, and maybe you've got a car, and you're privileged to have a home, and you think to yourself, well, I'm not allowed to feel unhappy, but you do, right? And so you start to put conditions on your happiness. But what Dr. Hawley and I have both learned, and what we find over and over again with our clients and our coaches, is that happiness is a choice. And it's a choice that you can begin to make now, and you can build up a network, a support system, a foundation that continues to help you make those choices day in and day out. You don't have to postpone your happiness. You can, it's available to you right now. And so when you start to put that into priority, it's easier for you guys to attain. And when that comes, when you get to the lottery, when you get that job promotion, when you make the student loan, the last student loan payment, you're able to actually be grateful for that. Because when you aren't, you're building up a habit. And so, Joe Dudley, he is one of our mentors, and he talked to me about the habit of saving money, even if it's 50 cents or $5 a week. It's not about the amount of money that you're saving, but it's about the habit that you're building. And so that's the key when it comes to well-being. If you can choose your well-being, if you can choose your happiness in the tough times and in the good times, you're able to revel that. You're able to really revel in that. My slide is not loading. Sorry, guys. Oh, we're going too fast. It wouldn't be a webinar if there weren't technical difficulties. We have 2 slides left. Any thoughts, Q? That's okay. What we want to share with you guys is that my last point is when you're starting to do this work, there are certain questions, and I'm going to share those questions with Alyssa, and we're going to post those in a template and in a document for you guys, and you guys will have a link. There are certain questions when you're looking at these areas of your life, not only to ask, what does it look like, but ask yourself, what does it feel like? Right? Because if we have everything we want on paper and we're still not feeling it, then we have to be able to define, what is it that I want to feel in this marriage? Do I want to feel love? Do I want to feel security? Do I want to feel happiness? What do I want to feel in my job? Do I want to feel security? Do I want to feel growth? What does it feel like on a day-to-day basis? That sometimes, no matter where you're at in your career, when we walk into the clinic day after day after day, sometimes it doesn't feel right. It feels like Groundhog's Day. So we have to be able to ask ourselves those questions and then recognize where we might be complacent in creating the conditions that we say we don't want. What I mean by that is, if we say that we want a new job and we're not putting out job applications, maybe we're sort of complacent in creating those conditions that we say that we don't want. And so it's an ability to take a self-inventory, but I've got some really powerful life coaching questions for you guys that can help you take this presentation and apply it. Hi, Mr. Man. That's Gavin. You guys may or may not have met Gavin. Let's see. It's not going to load, but that's okay. I'm going to pass this over to Q. He's going to wrap this up for you guys. I'm going to share those questions with you and with Alyssa. Those questions, like I said, are going to help you take your life to the next level and create a really holistic, balanced life.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm so excited to have this opportunity again, as I expressed earlier. And the big thing that I want to share with everyone here today is that through wholeness and through really prioritizing your well-being and through making a choice, a decision, a commitment, and really believing in yourself, that you can create the quality of life and veterinary career that you truly deserve and that you truly desire. And so it's my story that when I first came into veterinary medicine, well-being wasn't really a thing. People weren't talking about wholeness. It was kind of expected that as a veterinary professional, you're going to be burnt out at some point. And I was even told that going into veterinary school. And so I actually believed that's the way it had to be. But when I graduated from veterinary school, I went into a really, really, really busy practice. I was seeing about 25 to 35 cases a day as a new grad, right? And that's a load. It's a load today. It was a load back then. And because I wasn't focusing in on wholeness, I didn't have any tools or strategies or resources or tactics or principles to go by to help me cope with the difficulty that I was facing. And so I imagine that someone in the audience today could be going through something. It's the times of COVID-19, and a lot of people just are going through things. And if you find yourself going through something, I want to share the way that I made it out of that pit, if you will. I started listening to a lot of, I don't even know how this happened, but I started listening to a lot of motivational speakers, guys like Earl Nightingale, Jim Rohn, even Oprah, Les Brown, and a lot of other people who were just sharing really empowering messages with me that I could create my own reality by choosing my own future. And when I think about wholeness, when I think about well-being, it's your choice. And oftentimes I'm told that I don't have time to really focus in on my well-being. I don't have time. I'm a busy veterinary professional. Maybe I'm a mom. Maybe I have 2 or 3 jobs. Like, where am I going to find time to focus on my well-being, to be whole? It just seems like we're so busy. And if you think the price for trying to prioritize and focus on your well-being is expensive, the price for not doing that is 10 times greater. And so for me, since I didn't have any healthy tools, I turned to unhealthy things. I started to use alcohol and smoking and unhealthy eating to find wholeness, which obviously is a terrible strategy. It's a terrible plan. I don't recommend it. And as you can imagine, my life was taking a turn for the worse. It didn't really affect my productivity and my performance at work. It was a very private struggle that I had for 3 years, about 2.5 and 3 years, where I would go to the first gas station I would see on the way home. I get an alcoholic beverage and I drink and drive on the way home. And my wife and I, we thought about calling it quits. So my family was about to mess up. I'm sure work was about to start messing up at some point. But the beautiful part of the story is this. The day after the 2016 presidential election, something came over me. I was in this exact same room right here. Something came over me, and I just knew that I could have a much more full, a much more quality, a much more just happy and joyful life. Because veterinary medicine, remember what Alyssa said, is meant to be enjoyed and not painfully endured through. And through focusing in on wholeness, and wholeness in and of itself could be an entire semester long course. Okay. So I can't get into all the details today, but I can tell you this. If you go all in for your well-being, that's exactly what I did the day after the 2016 presidential election. I made a commitment to myself that I was going to spend the rest of my life, every second, minute, hour, day, week, month, and year of the rest of my life, working towards the absolute best life possible. And I can assure you with 100% certainty that not only did I do it, not only could I do it, but that if that's something that you want to do for yourself, whether you just want to take life to the next level or whether you want to overcome some challenges and hurdles that you have to jump over and through right now, that you can do that. And whatever it is that you idealize in your mind, when you close your eyes, when you think about your ideal life as a veterinarian and as a human, and if you're a mom as a mom, if you're a dad as a dad, whatever it happens to be, that idealize that in your mind and get really clear on what it would look like. What would your ideal day at the veterinary clinic look like? What would your ideal day just as a human being look like? And through taking massive action towards those things and really believing in yourself and making a serious commitment, not a commitment like a New Year's Eve commitment, but like a commitment like jumping out of an airplane and you're going skydiving. You're not going back in the plane. That's it. You jump out and you're going down, right? To make a serious commitment like that, and you will find that your worst days will slowly start to become your best days. And that'll make a huge difference in terms of your overall quality of life. Through my struggle, through focusing in on wholeness, focusing in on well-being, I seriously consider myself to be living a life of heaven on earth. And that's not a life without challenges. It's not a life without difficulty. It's not a life where I don't cry sometimes. And it's not a life where I'm perfect. It's not a life where just everything is easy peasy, but it's a life in which I can see the beauty in everything. And as Tony Robbins said, I see that life's happening for me and not to me. And that makes a grand difference. And so with that being said, I believe we're probably just about out of time. And so what we can do now is open the floor up for questions. If you have any questions for me or for Renee, we're happy to answer those. And if you want to shoot us an email, looks like our thing is oh, there it is. There's another one. Renee. There's the slides. Well, here's our email addresses here. Okay, can y'all see that? Okay. All right. Up there, losing my listen there.
No, I was talking and didn't realize I was muted. Hi, technical.
Okay.
Wow. I mean, guys, just so you know, these Quincy and Renee are literally our first EV teammates. I feel like I've known them forever, but it's only been since June or July, and I can honestly tell you without any hesitation of a doubt, what they're talking about legitimately works. And it's been my greatest honor and just a joy to work with both of them. So I can't thank you guys enough for being here. And yes, reach out to them, reach out to all of us, and talk about it, right? You know, Quincy and Renee both, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your stories with us. That was so, wow.